I heard you want your country back. You can't have that. I heard you want your country back. Shut the f up. I heard you want your country back. Well, shit. Me too. We the people in the street got the gammons in retreat, and their blood boils when we speak. So let it be heard. Mic drop. We ain't wasting a scrap when we eat. And when we come for it, then we're coming to keep. So these are the words of a bitter Jamaican man whose ancestors could not defend his homeland of Jamaica against the mighty British Empire. He's clearly very sad that we beat him. He says, I heard you want your country back. Shit, me too. As if they didn't gain independence and quickly and rapidly fell into chaos. So this is an interesting one. A man who I believe was actually born here to immigrant parents, or perhaps he's even a third generation immigrant, perhaps it was immigrant grandparents, and yet he still harbours a deep resentment against our native population. So that's an interesting one for the people who believe in the myth of integration, that if they come over here and spend enough time here, they will become just like us. And if that's your definition of integration, then I suppose that does happen sometimes. Sometimes they do act just sort of like us, and that if they were white-skinned and looked like us, you probably wouldn't bat an eye. However, that's not what integration really means, because if we're talking about the bigger picture, when this population grows, then it would be important that if such a population were to grow in proportion and gain more influence and political power, it would be important not just so that they act like us, but so that they like us. And obviously that is not the case. I mean, I believe he lives in London, that's where they're based, his little band, it's actually a duo. And he says, got the gammons in retreat. So remember, London is about 36% white British. Now, despite minorities being a majority in London, he is still happy when the gammons, the English, go back to the shires. They always do this, don't they? Remember around Christmas time, all the white people from London go to visit their old grandparents in the countryside in the shires, and you'll get foreigners recording on TikTok. Perhaps semi-ironically, but there's still a point to it that they're trying to make. There's a reason that it's on their mind. And they sit there and go, wow, the gentrifiers, is that what it's called? The gentrifiers, they've left, they're back to the shires, this is our London now. So it's always about colonisation, which is very interesting. And while I was talking about integration, in fact, it seems like he is quite like us. He was, after the set, he posted to, maybe it was Instagram, I'm not sure where it was, saying, oh, looks like I upset some people tonight. Here's me drinking my vegan. He was drinking a vegan. He made sure to specify in brackets, I'm drinking vegan stuff. So yeah, he's just like the white liberals. I also found it interesting how there'll be people who will try to do this deep analysis. What did he really mean? They'll be like, well, he was talking about the racists who say, I want my country back. He was expressing his hatred towards the racist people. But it's not really about that, if we're being honest. This guy thought, I'm going to the biggest music festival in the entirety of Britain. What point am I going to make? I'm going to say, down to the whiteys. That's what he said. And what is, I suppose, sort of disgusting is that this is essentially an all-white crowd. There's like no minorities in the crowd. They all come from London, and despite them coming from such a diverse city, there's like no black people in attendance. Okay, sure, some of the singers are, but it's an incredibly non-diverse crowd is the point I'm trying to make. Anyways, after him repeatedly saying, oh, you want political power, oh, you want sovereignty, well, your ancestors hurt my country.
So you got to shut up.
And it's all anger and resentment, you know what I mean? They have this sort of inferiority complex where they're so sad that they're so sad that my daddy was stronger than their daddy. And now 200 years later, they've got to continue this fight. We're both 50 years old now. We thought we're past this. This was primary school stuff. My daddy beat up your daddy in a fight. 50 years later, I'm 57 years old. I don't know if you could tell. The polo shirt makes me look youthful, but I'm 57. And this guy's went, your daddy hurt my daddy when I was 6. He comes up behind me when I'm not looking and right hooks me. I'm like, what the hell? Just get it over with. You have your sovereignty. Jamaica, fix your stuff, right? Because that's what you're angry about. I've not even gotten to my main points. I'm totally rambling. Paper. Talking points. No script, just talking points. I've put Mexico. They like you until you're selfish. The point I'm trying to make here is if you look what happened in Mexico, I think there might still be some riots going on. But basically, America's what, 57% white? And it would appear, on surface level, that these different races and ethnic groups sort of get on with each other. There's relative peace. Okay, crime statistics say otherwise. But in terms of fragmentation, both socially, day-to-day life, and politically, it wouldn't seem like there's that much fragmentation. You look at the people in California, the whites and the blacks and the browns, they're all getting together. All of a sudden, what does the American authorities do? They do this crazy thing called enforcing the law, and all hell breaks loose. All of a sudden, the Mexicans, death to the USA, we want to take California and make it Mexico, Mexican flag reign supreme here. The second you start doing what is selfish, and I'm not using the word selfish with any negative connotations here, I mean it in a very positive way. It's good to think about yourself. Of course you should be selfless sometimes. But if you just never think about your own self-interest, or what's even more reasonable, your own ethnic group's self-interest, which is actually a bit more inclusive, you're not saying about yourself, you're thinking about a lot of different people that are all closely related to you. The second you think, I'm going to put my people first, the others absolutely hate you. I mean, I know what us individuals in the dissident right, we don't really like Tommy Robinson, okay? But the point I want to make is, do you think, and don't be contrarian and talk about the Sikhs that go to reform conferences and stuff. You're nitpicking if you do that, right? Do you think foreigners like Tommy Robinson? Of course not. Now, I don't either, because he's soft. He only talks about the Muslims, right? But foreigners don't like Tommy Robinson. He says, we are not letting this foreign religion take over our country. When he does that, when he essentially, maybe not to the best extent, but when he sort of puts his people first and our self-interest, all of a sudden, the foreigners don't like him. So there are some people that will have lots of foreign friends and they'll get on. But the thing is, these people's politics are, I don't think there should be borders. I don't think we should put you in prison for as long because you're unfortunate and you grew up in poor conditions. Oh yeah, I think you should get priority access into college and university because, well, you come from a poor country. And I think that your parents should be able to claim benefits. And I think that illegal migrants should be welcomed in, housed, fed, clothed. I think that refugees, not going to put a number on it, but just unlimited refugees should be housed in this country. I don't care how it affects me. I don't care how it affects the other young people of my ethnic group. It doesn't matter. Housing prices don't care. All humans are equal. And that's the kind of people that foreigners will like, right? They might get on, they might go get coffee together. They're in a higher income bracket. You got curry mile in the low class places, and you got the cafe mile in the other place, the coffee mile. And they'll go have fun, and they'll attend, I don't know, no, I'm not going to say stupid stuff. It's supposed to be a serious video, but it's addressing a point that nobody else has made about this conference, about this Glastonbury festival. The point I'm making is that when you think, actually, no, I think we're going to enforce the border. I think we're going to tighten up border security. No people should be allowed in here without citizenship. I think we should halt immigration altogether to stop our ethnic replacement in our own country. I think that zero benefit should be given out to these people. I think that on housing lists, the indigenous populations should be prioritised. And you say all of these things, and all of a sudden, these foreigners that you get on day-to-day life, at the gym, at the shop, you may be polite to each other. All of a sudden, when you say these things, they don't like you. They hate you. They would like to. Well, no, whoa! I'm not going to say something crazy. But if something bad were to happen to you, they probably wouldn't feel so bad. You think, well, he had it coming for him. That's a better way of putting it. What I was about to say, and so yes, there is a level of multiculturalism which you can. That everyone kind of can get along, but it only happens when you don't put your people first. It only happens when you cave to every single demand of the foreigners. And that leads me on to another point though. When you do that, when you cave to someone's demands, what do? Say you, the female mutual watching this. No, this doesn't have to be female only. Say you, the viewer. Let's say we're friends, okay? We're best friends. And one day I go, can I borrow a tenner, please? Can I please borrow £10? I need to buy something, right? So this is important. You give me the £10. I didn't say I was going to give it back or anything, right? Next time I chance my luck a bit more. I've missed the flight. Flight got cancelled. I'm gonna have to book in our 2 nights in my hotel. Can you send me 200 quid? You send me 200 quid. Then I'm like, can I borrow your car? I ask, can I borrow it for two days? I just need to go to work. My car broke down. And then I borrow it for 2 weeks. I'm trying to take advantage of you, right? Then I say, can I stay in your house? My wife, I know I'm only 16, but for the sake of the argument, I say, my wife caught me cheating on her. Can you please let me stay over in your house for a few nights? And then I stay over for like 3 weeks and refuse to leave. Perhaps I stay in your house for a few months and I refuse to pay rent. I start taking advantage of you, and I withdraw my niceness towards you unless you give me everything that I want. The second you don't give me what I want, I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to start protesting. I'm going to start calling you horrible names. And I'm going to say, no, this is my country now. You're not allowed that. I don't like you. So that's what happens when you do everything a group wants. They continue getting more and more emboldened. They continue asking for more. They've realised you're weak. You give me everything I want. I came here and all of a sudden Greg started putting halal food out for me. Wow. It's like I'm the VIP guest. I mean, this is brilliant. I mean, if I can chance it and ask for a council house, I might as well. And that's what happens. So, yeah. Overall, it's like, if you put your people first, you don't get on. Right? They don't like you. You can't have a relationship in any way. If you cave to every single demand, then 1, they'll like you. 2, they'll eventually take over the whole country. And 3, they'll become emboldened to continue asking and demanding more. And eventually they will have to ask or demand it, because without remigration, if we cave to their demands, keeping them here, which is obviously definitely one of them, sort of the lowest one. You can't have anything else if you're not here. So keeping them in the country, they will continue growing in population, and they won't have to demand one day. One day they'll be in Parliament and they will simply take. And that's what happens, because they will have no respect for us. If we don't even respect ourselves, we give everything away, right? So why should they respect us? It's fair enough to ask that, by the way. Like, what do you mean that we colonized their countries, left, they come here trying to engage in revenge? We're going to take, this is our country now, and our people let them stage dive onto us and hold them up. Way, this is a legend. What the hell do you mean, right? It is crazy. I mean, these people must have zero respect for us. I know he might look like he's getting on with these guys, but behind the scenes, he doesn't really have any respect for them. And in reality, he says the Gamins are going in retreat. They're all leaving away. They're all running away. And when we come for it, our country, we're coming to keep. They're keeping this country. This is theirs now. This is, you took mine, I'm taking yours. But I'm not going to give it up because I'm not weak. That's what he's saying. We are weak. We don't have to be, though. Join the Homeland Party today. Anyways. I put hate plus power. I suppose I've just said that. Oh, I was talking about more lack of respect. If they don't like us, right? That's quite simple. They don't like us. We've established that. If they don't like us, and then you give them power, well, what happens? They're going to use that power in ways maybe that don't just exploit us, but in ways that benefits them against our interest. That's what will happen. And then I finally closed this with, where does this all lead? So where does this lead, right? In America, when America was just under 90% white in the 1950s and the 1960s, there was the civil rights protest, the civil rights marches, and you had Martin Luther King Jr. and all of the men protesting, all of the black men, in their suits and ties, dressed up nicely. And he says, I have a dream. I want to aspire towards the same things that you do. I want to be able to live the American dream. I want to buy a house. I want to be able to raise my children. I want to live in a safe community and just get on with things. I think I have earned this, and I should be treated just as the white man. This was the argument that a couple of Irish nationalists use. Some people try to paint them as little soft liberal communists. Not that those two things have anything in relation to each other. I'll just say communist. They weren't. One thing that some sort of prominent Irish nationalist said was that, why should a white man or a white country, a white nation, rule over another white nation? They were like, we're not... And that hints at, like, maybe you could colonize our countries, because this was the 1900s, right? Over 100 years ago. And he says, well, we're a white nation. We're smart enough. We don't need British rule. We can have our country to ourselves. And that was an important argument. So the black people in America were saying, well, you freed us. We're starting to work. We're trying to do what we can in this country. Could we be treated as your equals, please? And it was quite respectable, right? It was quite respectable. So we gave it to them. Now in Britain, or in England is about 75% white British at the last census. It's probably like 73, 72% now. And when you're about 70% white a country, so 20% lower, all of a sudden they walk on stage and say, you want your country back? Shut the fuck up! And that's what they say. And they say, we're coming to keep your country, we're coming to colonize you, and then the sea of white hands prop the black man up. Isn't that really just traitorous? He jumps into the crowd, and all of the white hands keep him up, rising above. Well done, you. So, 70% white, you have discrimination in jobs, DEI, right? And that's actually self-inflicted, by the way. And we give them better opportunities and so on. Lighter sentences sometimes. There was something about that recently. And when you're 10% white, like South Africa, you have kill the Boer. You have kill the white man. You have brutal farm attacks. You have, forget the colonization part, forget the ethnic domination of white people under black rule or under foreign rule. There's also just the part of just pure demographics. What happens when your country has a particular population? It's not all about political power, of course. So another thing you see in South Africa is just generally high crime, political instability, corruption, infrastructure being damaged, roads just torn apart, a crumbling economy. And then if things continue going the way that they're going, hatred towards white people, I mean, they're restricting their water consumption, they're they haven't done this yet. I don't want to get done for misinformation, but they haven't done this yet. But they could seize land soon with, I think, a few more laws getting passed. And there is a party on the rise that is really, really anti-white. And they could just seize their land without any criminal process, without anything. They can just go seize the land if they want to. Just because they're white. And if things continue that way, you could see in a decade or so a complete white genocide in South Africa. It's possible. I mean, especially if they see that, well, we're poor anyway, what do we have to lose? They've got refuge, so they can all just run away. Might as well, we want them out anyway, so if we start threatening to kill them all, then they'll all flee to America under Trump. So that's a potential, that's something that could be on the horizon. So when you have us, Britain, who historically has been a colonizer, and who they hold deep resentment towards, this is the kind of stuff we will continue to see more of, especially as we show them through different policies and laws like DEI and light sentencing and all this different stuff, and it just purely accepting the thing that he said, I heard you want the country back shop, and stuff like that. When we see this figure drop, this white British population figure drop to 60%, 50%, 40%, they will start taking advantage of it. And as they become more emboldened, because after about 50%, it's very, very, very hard to get out of that politically. Just because you need a majority in Parliament, and obviously the voting system, it's hard to then win seats, or enough seats. And nobody wants to work with nationalists, so you wouldn't expect a coalition. So after that 50% tipping point, they'll start realising, oh, now we can say what we really want to say. And if this is the kind of thing they say now, when it is risky, that you are gonna face serious backlash for it, then what do you think it's gonna be like when it's 40%, 30%, 20%, 10%? So you really have two choices. You can choose between replacement, which is more of this is our country now, more of we're going to force you to pay us reparations, which that's another thing that will happen, by the way, I forgot. You don't matter, this is our country. So you can have that future, or you can have remigration. Remigration is obviously the peaceful answer. It's the answer that suits us. And why wouldn't you choose the one that suits us? This is Britain, right? This is our country. It's not as though we're exercising our force and our will on other peoples in our countries, in other territories and land masses. It's our country. This place of land should be our home, right? And this place of land should be governed by a state that puts us first. And only remigration will ensure that happens, right? There will, of course, be a few traitors, but they won't be large enough in numbers. The traitors and the foreigners work together. Without the traitors, without the foreigners, there's not really much to fight for. So it's replacement or remigration. You can choose a future like South Africa, or you could choose the future of Great Britain, a homeland for the indigenous British people. And that is achieved through remigration. So support remigration today. And just as a quick call to action, join the Homeland Party, the only party that is willing to actually be brave enough and stand in favour of remigration, call for remigration, say that we're going to end the ethnic dispossession of white people, white British people from our country. And the only party that is actually capable of doing so through the political process and through community politics. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.